What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning into the collector side, and this is part 3 of my Sideshow Collectibles review slash unboxing slash posing, etc., of the Hot Toys Justice League Wonder Woman concept series figure. And once again, a very big thank you to Sideshow Collectibles for sending me this figure. I was really honored that they actually reached out to me to request that I review this figure. It was a total surprise. They asked me to review a Hot Toy figure. I said, hey, I would love to. Thank you so much for thinking of me. It was really, really awesome. I was super excited, and I tried very hard. I did not look at the box when it came, so I was pleasantly surprised when I did the unboxing to find the concept series Wonder Woman. She's a gorgeous figure. Now, if you guys have already watched my other videos, and I encourage you to do so with my review and my unboxing, basically you'll see that there are two distinctive issues that I have with this figure that I'm hoping are really just a fluke. Now, I'm making this video because, to be honest with you, this figure is probably going back to Sideshow, and I'll tell you why. I'll reiterate it again, even though just in case you haven't seen my other two videos on the figure. But basically, there is this goop coming out of the ankle, which is just bizarre. I've never seen that before. My guess is because that there's a metal endoskeleton to the figure itself, because of the rubber body and everything. My feeling is that that's some kind of a lubricant to keep everything loosey-goosey so that the joints don't rust out and they can bend and move, because it's a metal endoskeleton. So that's my guess. But it's kind of like, when I first opened it, the ankle looked a little loose. I pulled the foot off to see what was going on, to see if maybe something broke, maybe the peg broke or something like that. Nope. And it just dripped out all over the table. So that was pretty disgusting. So I was really surprised. But basically, that is gripe number one. Gripe number two is that it seems that the knee on the right leg is broken. Now, it posed fine the first time when I bent it in the unboxing video, but broke during the unboxing video when I bent it again. So on the second bend, the knee broke. And I'm figuring that that is a fluke as well. I have not seen or heard people have those types of complaints about this particular figure, but that's obviously going to be problematic in doing the posing video. However, I'm going to give it my best shot because I have a few little poses in mind for this figure. Now, when you're doing your posing, first thing you want to keep in mind is the instruction booklet. That you got to read the instructions. So make sure that you look at the limitations for the joints. Some of these Hot Toy figures, you can only move them 45 degrees up in the arms. You can only get them this far. You can't get them all the way up. It's like they have limitations. So you want to make sure that every figure that you pose has an instruction booklet. All these figures come with instructions. You want to read those very carefully and make sure that you're not going to do something that's going to break it. $237 figure, it's not fun to break. And if you don't get it at Sideshow, you're kind of hoping that wherever you bought it, their return policy is pretty solid. That's kind of you don't want to be stuck with it. But that's what my issue is going to be for the moment, is doing some posing with a broken leg. I'll make it work, but I would like to do that while I still have the figure, because it's probably going back. Anyway, all right, so she comes with a lot of great accessories. She comes with the bullet effects. Take a look at everything here. She's got all her hands. She's got four pairs of hands and one additional hand. One holds the sword, one's going to hold the shield properly. Now, so far she's okay with holding the shield with that hand, so I'm going to leave it alone. But she does have a hand that's very clearly meant for holding the sword. She has a hand that's meant to hold the shield. She has a hand that's meant to hold the lasso. And the lasso of truth that's on her body there. The lasso, what's actually really cool about that is it's a wire, so it will pose nicely. So maybe we'll do a pose with the lasso. So I'm going to get this stuff laid out, and then I will start doing a pose. So be right back. And we're back. So, all right, managed to just get some of the wrist pegs out. It's a little, it's a little tricky, but you get there. Just figured I'd fiddle with it for a minute. And let's see. So first pose that I would like to do is just a very simple one, and it basically is Alex Ross's Wonder Woman. Was it the Justice book? That Justice League kind of dynamic pose. I'm just trying to get the ankle to pivot back to what I wanted before. All right, there we go. There we go. Now, one thing I like about that pose is, let's get this back here. I'm going to take that off for a second. Now you feel free also to use the stand as much as you can, if you need to. I mean, sometimes you don't need to. I'm hoping that she kind of stands by herself. And if you get the ankles into a nice, sturdy, steady, locked position, she should be able to stand. It's got to just make sure that the center of gravity is where you want it to be, and that she's balanced enough, and then she will likely stand. But I'm going to play around with it a little bit anyway. So if I have to bend it a little more, you got to play around with how to get them to stand up. A little bit, almost there. Okay, just close it on that. Zoom in. Alright, and I have my phone here so that I can just check the pose for reference. But just to show you guys, this is the first pose that came to mind. It's the Alex Ross pose, right? Although I love Alex Ross, he's one of my favorite artists of all time. Now I did switch out the hands, so we've got the fisted hands. Let's see if we can get her to do this. Now, range of motion wise, it may be a little tricky, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway, just because that was the first pose that came to mind. So let's do this, do this. Let's see, we got arm 1, arm 2. Let's see how. Gotta be very careful. Don't want anything to break. Out a little. Pivot the wrist that way. And this. Push it more. Raise it up a little higher. So I'm going to check our reference again. Nothing wrong with checking your references. And let's see. Alright, so her arm is going to be across her chin. On her right arm, kind of covering her lips. Let's see, that's about the upper limit of her range of motion. This is going to come up a little higher. And her hand is supposed to cross. So we want her fist to go to her elbow. It's kind of straight out like that. I'm going to twist the gauntlets around a little because the magnet is in the center. Okay. Get her to stand if I can. You guys can see. And I'm going to zoom in on the pose when it's done. Let's go with that. I'm all about the center of gravity. And I'm going to put the ankle. See, I'm not sure if she's going to stand, but we'll try it. So otherwise, I have to employ a little bit of assistance, which that's not going to do it either. There we go. Do this. Just pivot that way. There we go. Hopefully, she can stand. Trying. Now, standing is going to be a tricky part because I don't think I have the other stand with me that could really help this pose. All right. Okay. 2 of the little ones. Why not? I'm gonna go 2 of the little ones. 1 big one. And raise this up. And raise this up. There we go. That's about as high up as it's going to go. Now remember I said about the instructions, so that's about as high up as that's going to be able to go physically. And push them a little closer together. And there we go. She's standing. Look at that. All right, so that's pose number 1. I'm going to bring the camera in a little closer. Hey, water cooler. All right, and let's do this. Oh, shoot. See? Almost. Almost. See, look, that's how you know that there's a metal endoskeleton in there. You get the little bullet effects hanging off her elbow. But close. So I do have another stand on hand that I can give her to kind of help out a little bit. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put those back on. Move that up a little. Move that up a little. And then get the other one, which flopped over here. Okay. And I'm getting the other stand. Just give me 1 second. So you don't know until you try. I have a Mezco stand, which for this particular purpose, you really just need a little bit of assistance with the leg. So that's where I'm gonna just sort of lock it in right there. Now, if you have the Justice League Mezco figure, what you can do, see now I kind of brace the leg underneath here. See that? So it stands a little bit more, just a little bit more comfortably. Because also, like, there's really no upper thigh pivot or anything, so you can't manipulate the balance in that way. But what you can do is lock that in so that it helps her to stand better. If you guys can see that, I'll bring her closer. All right, and let's just do this. Okay, you see that? She's blocking the bullets. So that is my Alex Ross pose, but also it's just a cool pose. I mean, if you turn her to the side, get her right there. See that? So you got the bullet effects here. Just like that. So that's pretty cool. And there might be, if I can just move the ankle. This is the goopy ankle. Yeah, see, that's a little bit more stable. So she's pushing back with that ankle a little bit, so that can kind of help her push back up against the stand, and then she'll balance. So now, unfortunately, I need that for some assistance, but as you can see, it's a pretty dynamic pose. It did pretty much what I wanted it to do. And there you have it. So that's that. All right, and then the next pose that I had in mind was basically a classic Linda Carter. And I will show you, and I have it right here, which one I was thinking of. Because it just, I don't know. There we go. Kind of thinking of something like that. I love you, Linda Carter, you're awesome. Something like that. So, I'll keep the fists. I'm going to take this off. Now this I can probably use her normal base for. Sometimes you just need that little extra help. But that's also the other problem, having the broken knee, which really stinks. What are you going to do? Okay, so check your reference material. Now, the fists are going to be on the upper hip, arm bent. Upper hip doesn't have that sort of pivot that the photo has, but you can still work with it, and you can still get the figure to do what you want, as long as it's resting on the upper hip. You're shedding. And very simple. That's a simple one. Pivot the foot out, and then you got sort of like one sticking out sideways more, one straight, just more of a relaxed, and her head is kind of tilted a little. And that's that one. So there you go. We'll just pivot this out to the side a little more side, a little more relaxed like that, see? So you have this leg is kind of straight, this leg is tilted a little out that way. You can kind of see that. And this holds up really. The arms do a really nice job holding up. The leg is a little tough to work with just because of the broken knee. But that's basically what you got. That's Wonder Woman in a more relaxed pose. Now, for battle pose, that's the other one I wanted to do, is a battle pose. And I had one just here I wanted to find here. All right. This one I really like the look of. I'm probably going to need the stand for this, but if you guys can see that, sort of like a shield block. So she's got the sword up like that. She's got her shield behind her, and that looks like her left leg is sticking straight out, her right leg is coming down this way. So that's the next one I would like to do, and that's what we're gonna do. So it's gonna take a second just to pop the hands out and get the appropriate hands that I want. And let me see if I can get the pegs out easily. If not, then what I will do is, oh, there we go. Okay, now it's a little harder to get them out of the hands, but just gotta pull gently. There we go. Oh, also, you can kind of see the magnet strip in there on the gauntlet. See that? That's how it's able to do those bullet effects. Now, what I want is I want a shield gripping hand, which I'm not sure if this is the sword hand or this might be the sword hand. Is this the sword hand? No, that's the shield hand. Okay, so we got a shield hand, and I want the shield hand to be the left hand, and I want, here's the wrist pegs, I want the sword hand to be the right hand. I think that's the sword hand. Yes, that's the sword hand. Yeah, right? Here's the sword hand, right? So you have these little lasso hands. That's pretty cool. The lasso is going to be a little tricky. So where did here we go. So we've got sword hand in the right. To pop back in to this. Get that in there. Pops back in. So this is pretty straightforward. The shield hand. Alright, Wonder Woman. Okay. So, I'll put this. Now, what I'm doing here is I've got the shield hand for my left, which is nice. It gives you both right and left. So I'm going to put the hand on to the handle of the shield. Then I put her arm underneath and just pop it right in there. Just got to line it up. You can probably do it without taking the hand off, but I can take it off anyway, so. Check reference material. Okay, once again, let's check our reference material. See? So that's it. That's what I want to make it look like. And let's get moving on the pose here. Let's see. One more time. Arm up. Alright, so she's kind of looking down this way. Head tilted up, hair behind her. Arm is coming straight up across like this. Oh, whoops. Didn't have it on all the way. One second. There we go. Didn't get that pop before, so you gotta wait for the pop. Now, her wrist, which is really cool here, I like how her wrist is sort of angled up. You gotta look at all these little nuances of the pose, because sometimes there's some natural motion here that you don't necessarily want to miss, because it could potentially take away from how dynamic the pose is. And her arm for the shield is behind her. And let's see, it's hard to tell where her arm is positioned. So you can just take some creative license, and based on camera angle, it's probably down here. Her right leg comes up this way. So my feeling is her left leg is up like that. So my feeling is that she's sort of blocking like this, which she should be able to stand, and she does, which is cool. So what I'm gonna do, oh, here we go. Let's see, can she stand? See the ankles? See what I mean about the ankles? Now the ankles are nice and solidly in place, so she's standing. And then you can sort of just take some liberty, I think, you know. Kind of get her hair over her shoulder. Then she's got Goes like this. Bam. What do you think of that, guys? Pose number 3. Shield block. You see that? So, what do you think? You see how I have the shield behind her? Now you can do some different things if you want. You know, it's really up to you. It's really just, you know, the visuals are inspirational, but you know, basically like that's the source material right there. Now the arm is up higher in the photo, but she can't really do that. I mean, I don't want to break anything. You know, that's about as far as she can go, and you can kind of tilt her head down a little and get that look. But you know, it doesn't look as fluid as it does in the photograph because the endoskeleton can't do that. It's stretching it a little too much. You don't want to rip the rubber. See, that's about her upper limit. Also, it kind of throws off her center of gravity. So, there you go. And kind of get a full turnaround. Zoom out a little. See? So you see how I have the ankles to balance. What do you think? Good? Alright, so we'll leave it at that. But that's 3 of the poses that I wanted to do. That's just what I had in mind to do from the start. You got the greasy ankle, which is just so weird. I mean, that's just weird. It's disappointing too, because I mean, I like this figure a lot, and to send her back, you know, I hope they send me another one. Which I think they're pretty good about that kind of stuff, because that's really unusual. But then you can use the base to just kind of stabilize her. And that's that. But there's nothing wrong with that pose either. Ta-da! See? Yeah. There you go. Now, I think that's it. I'll probably do some other poses, take some photos, and I will put those on there in the photo montage just to give you guys an idea, but you can see how poseable she is. She can get some really nice action poses. Now, me personally, with my figures, I like to pose them in a dynamic pose. I don't like to have them just kind of standing there. That's just my preference. I feel like these are lifelike enough that you should try to get a little bit of, you know, excitement out of them, you know? So that is Wonder Woman. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel. Find me on Facebook. Follow my page. Follow me on Instagram as well. You can find me on Twitter. All the usual places. And, you know, the more subscribers I have, the more followers I have, the more videos I can bring to you guys. It is my pleasure to do this. I enjoy it. And that's it. So keep calm, pose on. I will see you guys next time.